Hello, it's Charles Fockaert on January 26th, 2018. I welcome all of you. Thank you for subscribing, and I really appreciate it when you share these videos and you support this channel. I feel, I've said this many times, we worked together as a team. Before I forget, I want to remind you that every single video that I do here on YouTube is automatically uploaded to BitChute. And I just can't help but think we're going to end up over there. Those of you who are interested in the content that I share on this video, on this channel at YouTube, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be allowed to discuss the content that I'm discussing. Monica Schaefer, for example, my view on the boob tube, the idiot box, aka Talmud Vision. Folks, there's the people that own this channel, this quote platform. I don't know. I just want to let you know about BitChute. Hey, you know, I get so bored. Even though I have a degree in economics, I get bored with trying to keep up with all this stuff in economics and what's going on here and there, and then all the stuff going on in politics. I don't have time for that stuff. You know, life's too short to spend, in my opinion, my time, my energies on the minutia, on what's going on between the Democrats and Republicans and the shutdown and this and that and the white hats and the deep state. You understand? But every once in a while, there's something of significance that happens that I think we should sit up and take note, and I want to bring two of those occurrences to your attention on this video. The number one is the economic policy in the United States that's changed. Those who control the Federal Reserve, I think his name is Munchin or Monkey Man or whatever. You know, Secretary, is he Secretary of Treasury? I don't even know. Doesn't matter. Some guy, the big shot there in the Jew banking world, come out and said that they're going to change their policy. Is no longer for a strong dollar, but a stable dollar. No longer a strong dollar. It's now the policy of the Federal Reserve to support a stable dollar. Now, they backed away from that the next day, and they want people to believe that they didn't really mean that. Oops, we didn't really mean that. But that's what they did mean, folks. Okay, the market, the price of silver on that day, I checked, it went up 3.8% in a matter of a few hours. Now, that's a significant move in the price of silver, and I think the price of gold went up even more. See, people got out of the dollar, and so I think what's happening now, I'm no expert, and like I said, I don't stay on this every day, day by day, minute by minute. If you're going to make money in the markets, you got like Gregory Mannarino. He sits in front of his computer with his screens there. He even admits it. He's into this thing 24/7. And so I'm no expert, but that's a significant event that just happened. And I think the reason is they no longer going to support a strong dollar is because it's taken too much effort. The rest of the world is avoiding the use of the dollar as much as they possibly can, folks. And the petrodollar is on its way out. And we got the other option now of Bitcoin and all these other cryptocurrencies. So people have another avenue, they have another option besides the U.S. fiat currency. And the Chinese and the Russians and other countries are getting tired of the wars and the fact that the Jewish mafia, the banksters, the international globalists they can create currency, they can create a form of medium of exchange the U.S. currency out of thin air on a computer screen. And they use that to finance these wars all over the place. Now, and don't tell me that George Soros is so smart and the rest of these Esau Edomites that they're making billions and billions of dollars on their own initiative, and they're smart, and no, I don't know why Americans don't get. Well, I do know why. Here's why.
In America, you have a right to be stupid if you want to be.
And that guy Gruber, when they were trying to pass Obamacare, he basically said the Americans have no understanding of economics, and that's why they were able to pass Obamacare. Anyway, I don't have that problem, and I've been able to prove that by my success in business as a real estate developer. And I won't go there, but I have a track record of actually knowing what I'm doing in business, okay? And the average American doesn't have a clue. They don't have a clue when it comes to economics. But that's the first major event. No longer the policy of the United States, and I'm not doing the Illuminati signal, you shills. The economic policy, the financial policy of the United States is no longer to support a strong dollar. It's switched, it's changed, it's transformed, it's transitioned into a stable dollar. And I believe that's going to lead to a lower value of the dollar, and every other country is going to have to drop their currency vis-a-vis each other currency in the world, because it makes their imports more expensive. And one thing about our currency dropping, it's going to make imports into this country more expensive. And also what's happened is that Trump has just put a tariff on big washing machines, for example, coming out of Korea and China, and also solar panels. So here they want international business, they want globalization, and the one way that Americans can get off of the grid and become more independent is through the use of solar panels. And I've been looking into solar panels, and the panels I was going to buy here, as I save up enough money to be able to charge my battery so I can remain off grid as much as possible. 2 weeks ago, I looked into them, and they were about $100 each, and I figure I need 4. So for about $400, maybe about $450 with shipping and all that, I'd be able to buy those panels. And then I need another transformer, a little inverter. It's about $100. Anyway, for about $550, be able to get the panels that I need. Okay, so I have firsthand experience in this. Well, there's a tariff now. And the panel, I checked the panels the other day, the panels have jumped about 20%. So that just increased the cost to me, and that's just a small job that I'm doing here on a recreational vehicle. So can you imagine a home? Okay, so that's just one example of what's happening now. There's a trade war coming on. And anyway, I don't want to get too far into the economics. I could, because I do stay abreast on the major overall picture. I remember once Henry Ford was in court, and they were going and at him, the prosecutor, for one reason or the other. I forget exactly why. And they were asking little minutia questions, and he didn't know the answer. He says, I don't know. And then finally he got tired of that. Henry Ford was a pretty sharp guy, practical guy, and he says, why should I fill my head with all of that details when I have a button on my desk that I can push, and I can get the answer from the people who work with me. Okay, I've taken that approach myself for many years. I keep all that other, all the details out and try to see the big picture, because the big picture is what affects us the most, in my opinion. The second part I want to go into, the second major change is, and I just ran across this morning, and it is this. There is a major change. This is from Zero Hedge, and it's an article, Trump officially restores Cold War. There is a major military change, this is a quote, in U.S. military strategy on Friday, more than 16 years after the 9/11 attacks, which were false flag attacks. And somebody is watching this video. I knew the first time I saw the towers collapse, I knew, and I said they put bombs in the buildings. I knew there was something wrong from the very, very get-go. And I think one of the reasons was I was able to see that is I don't watch Talmud vision. Alrighty? I'm not brainwashed like the majority of Americans. I don't want to go into that, but when you keep the crap, the wicked imaginations out of your mind, it has room for other more fruitful thoughts, ideas, and you're able to use your brain the way Yahweh intended you to use it. Let's go back to this. 16 years after the 9/11 attacks, and the point I brought up that is that most Americans still believe in the official adult fairy tale that 19 Arabs with box cutters pulled off 9/11. And if you still believe that, I'm looking right in your eye, okay? You're an idiot, okay? You're an idiot. U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis said terrorism is no longer the #1 priority. They've milked that cow. They've sucked every bit of profit out of that approach, the enemy, that they can, and now they realize they need to switch their priority. They need to switch to a new enemy, and they're doing exactly that. The report said maintaining a military advantage over China and Russia is now Defense Secretary Mattis's top priority. And I'm not going to go any further than that, but folks, I read a book by Anthony Sutton. I think it was by Anthony Sutton back in the late 70s, early 80s. It was called The Best Enemy Money Can Buy, and it was about the United States. I didn't know, I wasn't Jew-wise then, but it was the Jews within the United States propping up the Jews in Russia. Remember, Russia was taken over by the Jews in 1917, and they used Russia as the enemy in the Cold War, they called it, as an excuse to build up the military in the United States. And these people, they make horrendous profits off of war, folks. So they needed an enemy. And then they also, as a little, as an aside, the U.S. military budget now is $700 billion a year. $700 billion a year. And you stupid Judeo-Christians, you're good with that, aren't you? Well, and then, as the aside, the little extra they got there, it's like the little appetizer or the little the plate on the side there is NASA. They used Russia and the what was it, Sputnik. And I've already told you that I went to the library at Humboldt State in 1974, 73, 74, and I looked up in the books for the Sputnik, and they had a picture of a Russian cosmonaut. I'm not kidding you, folks. a Russian cosmonaut on his knee, and in the background, right behind him, was a Russian missile laying on the ground. Laying on the ground, folks. And I had been watching, and not watching, but on cassette tapes, I listened to Dr. Stuart Crane, and I've mentioned this many times before. He taught me how to look for these kind of things, and he's the one that brought it up. And Anthony Sutton's book led me to believe that this whole thing about Russia and the space program, at least the moon, that Sputnik, was a farce. But we used that. The United States used that the idea that Russia was going to beat us to the moon as an excuse to do the moon program, right? Apollo and all that. Well, folks, anybody with two working brain cells will realize that we never went to the moon. The United States never went to the moon. And again, I'm going to look you in the eye. If you believe that the United States went to the moon, you're an idiot.
I agree. And I've heard nobody else in America say that. Everybody on the left and the right, oh, how could he call Americans stupid? Show the clip of the one man in America who agrees with him.
But I would never put anything past this stupid country.
Because people are dummies. They don't know what's going on.
I think a lot of them are just dumb. I'm the bad guy for saying people are dumb.
They're not bright enough to really understand the issues.
People are already complaining that you're calling the United States a stupid country and giving you a chance to clarify.
I don't need to clarify. It is.
Yes, Jonathan Gruber, you have met your soulmates. How this is even controversial, I have no idea.
It's pretty fun.
And so now we got the change in the economic policy from a strong dollar to a stable dollar, because they don't have any choice. The value, the worth of the dollar is dropping in the world because nobody wants to hold the dollar anymore. And they've been propping up the stock market and the bond market, and the corporations have been doing stock buybacks. And the stupid goy are in the stock market thinking that they can make money without working for it. Well, you know what? I'm going to give you a word of advice that I learned from a long time ago, and it was from a Jew named Bernard Baruch. Somebody asked him, when he invested in the stock market and other investments, they asked him, what was the key to your success? And you know what his answer was? I always got out too soon. I always got out too soon. The point is, better to get out a year early than 1 minute too late. And that's what's coming. That market, that Wall Street stock market, that Ponzi scheme is going to collapse. And a lot of goy are going to lose a lot of money. So anyway, the financial policy has changed and the military policy has changed. And I'm reading, if you read into that article further, they talk about the best deterrent to war is being prepared to win a war. So war is peace, folks. And that's what we were told about in George Orwell or Eric Blair's 1984. It's happening right before our eyes. If you haven't read this book lately, I would recommend that you pick it up, read through it, turn off your Talmud vision, turn off those wicked imaginations, and pick up a book and actually learn something. You know what? And a lot of people are not going to like what I have to say, and they're going to run away. They're going to run away to these other channels that have thousands of views and thousands of subscribers. And I want to show you one example of that, and then we'll call it quits here. I want to show you one example. I took pictures yesterday of a channel that is much more successful than I am, and I want to show you one little inside here, folks. Let's go have a look at that, shall we? So we're here at the channel of Greg Hunter, USAWatchdog.com. You know what? I don't have any problem. I really don't. I like Greg, and I sometimes I watch some of his interviews and stuff, and he's got his use. And but I want to show you, he's got 132,000 subscribers. But let me show you an example of some of the people he's had on and interviewed, and how many views he's gotten off of these people, off these interviews. Let's have a look at that. Now, I don't want to offend any of these people, and I don't want them to get upset with me, and I'm not trying to pick on them, but I just want to give you an example of how many views these people get, and what they say. This is look at here on the left, Karen. Who dis? I don't know how to pronounce that. We're running out of time. We're dealing, and then it goes on. 293,000. That's almost 300,000 views, and this was 4 years ago. So for the last 4 years, we're running out of time, and people continue to give heed to what some of these people say. Now, Jim Sinclair, silver will be gold on steroids incoming, and I don't know what the rest of that is, but this was 2 years ago. And, you know, the price of gold hasn't gone up hardly at all in the last 2 years. And then we got David Stockman. You know, he used to work for, I remember his name coming out during the 80s with Ronald Reagan. Everything will grind to a halt in 2017. Well, the last time I looked at my calendar, this is 2018. And he got 255,000 views. All right, and then here we got David Stockman again. 1 year ago, we are nearing the end. Well, you know, how long is the end going to last? It's 251,000 views. 251,000 views, folks. And they got, again, the views here. And we got Cliff High. Chaos starts in middle of March. Well, this is, did he mean the middle of March in 2017, or did he mean the middle of March in 2018? Because this was 10 months ago. 369,000 views. You get the idea. You look at Jim Sinclair, Russia can collapse U.S. economy. Well, that's probably true, but that was 3 years ago, that prediction. And these here are the most viewed of all of the YouTube videos on Greg Hunter's channel. This guy, Mark Taylor, military tribunals coming for... That was 4 months ago, folks. I haven't seen any military tribunals yet. Have you? And here again, it's Jim Sinclair. And I have, you know, I listen to what Jim Sinclair says, and I'm not picking on Jim. Jim, don't get upset with me. And you probably don't even know who I am or care. But 4 years ago, gold will be $50,000 per ounce. And these are the two that I like the most right here. This guy here, Jonathan Cahn, he's a con man, folks. He's a Esau Edomite. And he says 2 years ago, prepare, we are on the verge of collapse, says Jonathan Cahn. He gets 482,000 views. And this guy here, Steve Quayle, I've sent him emails. I've tried to reach him. I've sent him emails about Adolf Hitler, his view. He's a Judeo-Christian, and I sent him emails on Adolf Hitler where he was wrong, and he don't want to respond. He didn't respond. I'm going to put this in here as an insert. I went back and I watched this, and I remembered that he actually did respond one time. And I had sent him a link to one of my videos, and I had that I had made, and he come back and he says, "Oh, you got 35 views on that one, Charles." It's not how many views you get, folks. It's the subject matter, and if you're telling the truth or not. And that's what guys like Steve Quayle and Jonathan Cahn don't get. And a lot of people who view them and continue to watch them and give them credence reminds me of Hal Lindsey. Remember him? The late, great Planet Earth. He's still on TV. He's still on Talmud Vision. And I don't know why anybody would believe anything that that joker says, but they do. And then look at this. This is what people want. See, people have itching ears, folks. Scripture talks about the day will come when the people will have itching ears. And these people understand that. They are telling people what they want to hear. And Mr. Quayle, I sent you an email saying that I was going to go down to your town there and speak in front of the Chief Justice of the Montana Supreme Court, and I sent you an email seeing if you were interested. It was a 5-hour drive for me, Mr. Quayle, one way, and you didn't have the time to answer my email. You don't give a rat's ass about what's happening in this country as far as I can tell. And I want to ask you in public, why did you ban me? Why did you block my emails, my address from getting through to you? You're a fake, you're a fraud, and there is no alien technology. The entire space program is a fraud, Mr. Quayle, and yet you get 550,000 views. Now, I want to show you one more guy here that people say that I should copy him and I should learn from him, and I'm only jealous of him, and he's got a lot more views than I do, and he makes over $200,000 a year. He's got a $2 million piece of property on his Form 990 listed, and yet he keeps asking people for money. But anyway, I won't say any more. Let's just have a look at this guy, shall we? He's got way more views than I do and way more subscribers than I do.
Only do the knacker dance, No, with your feet. Do the shuffle.
This man is not well.
Go on, the knacker dance.
Hey! I love this guy.
Come on, boy.
Only he's destroying it.
Come on, boy, get it going.
Testify.
Go on, that's there.
Give him the time.
On your own, on your own. Look at Matrix shit now.
He's the man.
He's going away.
Okay, I hope that information helps you. And folks, don't be impressed by numbers, okay? The U.S. government, the Esau Edomite-controlled U.S. government has just changed their policy on two important issues, two important aspects. And it's going to affect us, especially the military. They've now declared, pretty much come out in the open and said Russia and China are now the enemy, and there's a shift over. And I personally think that if we went to war, and that's where we're headed, we went to war, the United States goes to war, and they haven't won a war since World War II, and even then you would say we basically lost that war, because look what's happened to our world since then. Alrighty. Anyway, if we go to war with Russia and China, I think we're going to lose. I think we're going to lose. You know why? Obama took out all the white Caucasian males that were in the military, upper echelon. They're all gone. They're being replaced by a bunch of pansies, they're being replaced by a lot of transgenders. I read the other day that a same-sex couple got married at West Point. Alrighty? And it's now perfectly fine with the military government for the military personnel to have sex with animals. Are we going to win a war with the LGP? Are we going to have to change our uniform to be pink with lace? We go to war with China and Russia, folks. I think the United States is going to get their ass kicked, and they may even invade this country, because our military is so busy over there in the Middle East and Korea and Iran and Syria, that what would happen if Russia decided to take over Alaska, folks? All the oil up there and all the other potential for a landing base or a base of operations to come into Canada and the United States. I tell you, folks, we got some big problems, a lot bigger than all this other little minor crap going on here. Thank you for supporting this channel, and may the grace of God, our Father, the creator of the heaven and earth, and the creator, the father of the white Caucasian race, may his grace be upon us all, for it should be quite obvious we most certainly need it.
Speedwalker! Quick, take this dynamite and douse it in that bucket of water down there!
Right! In America, you can be anything you want to be. Just remember, heel toe, heel toe.
Speedwalker!